New laws that has taken out morality out of the picture. Christians are going to be facing more time in courtrooms and being persecuted more than ever. It is a done. You're going to face it. There's no way of going back there. Jesus is telling us in the Beatitude, He's letting us know this one thing. He says, the meek shall inherit the earth. But what does meekness mean? Meekness is a form of humility. Now here, the word in Greek is grasso, which means gentle. It means soothing, a soothing disposition. Without disputing or resisting. We can look at meekness as something weak, but it is not weak. Because if you said it's weak, you're saying Jesus was weak. Folks, was Jesus weak? No. Now I'm going to tell you why he was weak. Here, the form of meekness in the Greek, rasso, he says, does not fight against God, or less struggles and contends with it. Or contends with it. He said doesn't fight against God. Because God called Jesus to be meek. God told him, I need you to surrender yourself to the enemy. You have a job to do. You have a responsibility to do. So he was portraying his meekness at this point because he had to obey the Father. Making sense? He was at this point being able to show and display what humility was. Self-control. He had to perform, this self-control was a form of a condition of the mind and the heart. Because when we come against persecution, if we retaliate, are we doing it God's way? Or the world's way? Now no one here likes the idea of feeling abused. The God's not saying to accept abuse. You know what I'm saying? This is why it's so important for us to understand what Jesus was teaching the people. The meek will inherit the earth. And ultimately, you resist the devil and you will what? See? Telling us, we have a responsibility right now. Because when we talk about divine appointment, when God puts you in a position, you need to know who you are and you know what you're meant to do. You already have the victory. Turn to someone. You already have the victory. Someone just mentioned the race is being run, but you already won the prize. The thing is that we have to continue to run, discipline ourselves because we still have a battle with the flesh. Yes. We have a battle with our nature, natural inclinations. We need to learn to develop spiritually so that that inner man, the Holy Spirit, can open your eyes to see beyond the natural. That means beyond what you're feeling in that moment. Why is this important? Here we go. It must be, I want to say this, that it must be clearly understood, therefore, that the meekness manifested by the Lord and commanded to the believer is the fruit of power. That's what meekness is saying. It is the fruit of power. Turn to the Lord. The fruit of power. Think about that a minute. The fruit of power. What does that sound like to you? No saying apple. What is the fruit of power? Anybody know? I'm going to finish reading what I wrote here. I'm going to get back to that. Hold on to that. He says, the common assumption is that when a man is meek, it is because he cannot help himself. But the Lord was meek because he had the infinite resources of God at his command. Think about it. He had the infinite what? Resources in his command. That means he was really in authority. He allowed them to put him through that because he made a choice, not because he was weak. This is one of my favorite phrases when Pilate was telling him, answer me, you know that I can take your life? And he turns to him, I have no power. You imagine that? Your enemy's coming against you, and you can say, you can't have no power over me, but I'm not gonna go there. Because of you, he says inherit the earth. That means you're gonna have the land. There's a scripture in one of the Psalms that I'm going to be reading in a minute. It's very, very powerful. This is Jesus saying in the Old Testament, you're going to hear it, and why Jesus brings us across this way. But here, sometimes we think that because Jesus went through that he was weak. He was weak. He had all the resources in the world to take over. We can easily describe meekness as something negative. It's the opposite, folks. The dictionary, when I read it, it says humbly patient, meek, overly submissive, or compliant. But that doesn't mean you're weak. In terms of that, doesn't mean you're weak. Have you heard of a politician running for office and he doesn't know what he stands for? Oh, right? Running for office, they give you all this stand. They don't even know what they stand for. So why are they running? Christians beating the air is like that. Christians who are just beating the air and they're running aimlessly is like the politician running for office and doesn't even know what he stands for. We can use the scriptures, we can do this, but if we're still running around in circles, what does that tell you? Do you think it's time for us to move forward? You want to see some breaking ground? Yes. You want to see some real doozy?
Yes.
Now here's David, Psalm 37. Now I know I told you to point out a scripture verse, and I'll get back to that later. Psalm 37, here's David. Psalm 37, verse 1. You can imagine where David is at, but I'm just going to read it. I'm going to tell you. He said, verse 1, it says, do not fret because of evil men, or be envious of those who do wrong. For like the grass, they will soon wither. Like green plants, they will soon die away. Verse 3, you heard Felicia up here say, trust in the Lord. Oh, Diana say, trust in the Lord and do good. Amen. Dwell in the land and enjoy safe pasture. Verse 4, delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you what? The desires of your heart. Verse 5, commit your ways to the Lord. Trust in Him, and He will do this. Prepare yourself for what He says you're going to do this. Verse 6, He will make your righteousness shine like the dawn, the justice of your cause like the noonday sun. Verse 7, be still before the Lord and wait patiently for Him. Do not fret when men succeed in their ways, when they carry out their wicked schemes. Refrain from anger and turn from wrath. Do not fret. It leads only to evil. Verse 9, for the evil men will be cut off, but those whose hope is in the Lord will inherit the land and enjoy great peace. In verse 10, a little while, and the wicked will be no more. Though you look for them, they will not be found. But the meek will inherit the land and enjoy great peace. Things are going to be happening around us. They're going to look like they're doing well. They're going to seem everything's going on and going their way. God tells us, hold on. Hold on. Turn to someone, hold on.
Hold on.
Stand your ground.
Stand your ground.
So often as believers, we just want to run. We just want to run. You know, you ever seen a baby walk for the first time stand up?
Yes.
You know, they stand up and they're wobbling. And when they want to take their first step, they just try to run because they don't know how to walk yet. So they try to run before they can walk because they don't know how to stand. God's telling them we need to learn how to stand our ground before you decide to run this race, folks. And standing, learning to stand firm is vital for our run. Because if you can't stand firm, when the wind blows, where are you going? You go wherever the wind blows. God said, I want you to, when the wind blows, when you're going this way. He says, you need to learn what it means to stand before you run. What does stand mean to you? Because if you're not running yet, you want to make sure. God says, we need to know what you stand for. You need to stand strong. Before you can run, you need to stand strong. Not just run, you need to stand strong. You need to know where you're going. Gotta have the vision, has to be clear. The goal has to be set. The plan has to be made. As believers, we need to know where we're going. Dark times are coming. We need to be ready for it. You're meant to be the light of the world. You need to shine brighter in that darkness. But if you are having the same old run around the circle over and over again, you haven't overcome some of these things, then when darkness comes, you're too busy looking at trying to find yourself out of this rut and can't be able to go forward. How is anyone going to lead or follow you? So we need to start looking at that. Ephesians 4, I told you earlier, verse 17 and 18. He says, I tell you this, and insist on this in the Lord, that you must no longer live as Gentiles do, in the future of their thinking. They are darkened in their understanding and separated from the light of God because of the ignorance that is in them due to their hardening of their hearts. They've been so dependent on their own that they missed out on what God has given them. Then Paul tells them in Ephesians 6:10, he says, finally, brothers and sisters, be strong in the Lord and in His strength and in His might. Then he tells them, put on the full armor of God. What is the full armor of God? We've done sermons on that many times. Because we need to understand there are elements there that we have to sort of understand. We'll get back to that because we need to do that. But as a reminder, as it says in Jeremiah 29, he said He has plans for us. Not to harm us, prosper us. Psalm 139 says, search me, God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. See if there's any offensive way in me, and lead me in the way of everlasting. Let's search Him. And here goes something I want to sort of do as we look at the close. There are an important perspective that I need to see as we go in this direction. You know the scripture, John 16:33, it says that the world will have trouble being tested. It's easy to see that this world and its circumstances won't give us the peace in our hearts that we long for. And we don't have to live in a state of despair. Jesus has left us with a great gift. You know what that gift is? That gift lives in you. Turn to someone, He lives in you. That victory is in you. Okay? Jesus was telling them, listen, you can't keep repeating the same stuff here because He says, I have given you a victory to overcome this world. I have already overcome this world. So turn to someone says, you already overcome the world. What more do you want? John 14, 16 to 20. I want you to listen to this very carefully. I will ask the Father. Who's talking? Jesus. That's right. I will ask the Father, and He will give you another counselor to be with you forever. Turn to him and say, forever. All right? He's not just there temporarily. says, the Spirit of truth. Right? He said here, and I will ask the Father, and He will give you another counselor to be with you forever, the Spirit of truth. The world cannot accept Him because it neither sees Him nor knows Him. But you know Him. Turn to someone, you know Him.
You know. You know.
For He lives with you and will be in you. I will not leave you as orphans. I will come to you before long. The world will not see me anymore, but you will see me, because I live in you. You also will live. On that day, you will realize that I am in the Father, and you are in me, and I am in you. If that doesn't assure you that the Spirit is working in you in every circumstance, there's someone in every circumstance, not just some, every circumstance. So it's time. You're going to hear the word "why" quite a bit in my closing. Moving to maturity, folks. It's time. First, you know that we do not wrestle day after day with the same temptations, the same failings, and the same stumbling blocks. But Jesus teaches in a parable. You guys know what the definition of parables were? You know why parables? He wanted to give us something that made us sort of really think. There's a narrative drawn from nature or human circumstances in order to teach us a spiritual lesson. That's what the parables were. So he wanted to teach us. When Jesus lifted his eyes at Calvary and cried out, "It is finished." Turn to someone and say, "It is finished." What was finished? What was finished? What does that mean?
We have been made right with God.
The term, we have the victory. We can't lose. Turn someone, you can't lose. He told us that told us that the provision for people's reconciliation with God was complete. Nothing more needed to be done because the world of life has been spoken to all of you. People needed only to hear the word, to let God help them accept it and place their hope and trust in Him. To close, we have to be renewing our view of God. Ephesians 4:24 says, "Put on your new self, which with the likeness of God has been created in His righteousness." Is truth. And to close is this. I told you earlier that blessed means spiritually prosperous, with life, joy, and satisfaction. Children of God enjoy favor, God's favor, and salvation, regardless of their outward conditions. This is why He gave us the fruit of the Spirit, long suffering. And I tell you earlier that I realized some of the battles I was facing, and I saw the same battle with the same person. It was almost like I was fighting the same person over and over again. You couldn't see it. It was because I was basically seeing things through my natural mind. My natural mind keeps reading. It's like a reporter over and over and over again. So if you can picture a circumstance, person, a situation, then you always, it's almost like a recorder over and over again. And you realize that I'm facing the same problem. You know, I struggle with this person, I struggle with that person, and they're pretty much the same person. What do I do? Do they have a problem, or do I? Yeah, I have to be fighting the same battle all over again. I say, I got to get beyond that at this point. So, I tell you this. As Paul said, and insist on it in the Lord, that you must no longer give or live as a Gentile do. Meaning, I am not to react the way the world will react. Meekness is about understanding my responsibility of being a child of light. My responsibility. Don't just say my responsibility. You cannot blame anyone else for something you're responsible for. That makes sense? It is about time that we learn, because we need to get this act together now so that when things get really bad out there, we know how to be a light. The world may see something different. So in my challenge in these areas, I have to realize I cannot give in to this emotion any longer, because it is an emotion. Right? How many know it's an emotion? So here it is. Psalm 81 says this. I want you to hold this and it's your devotional for this week. If my people would but listen to me. So if my people were just to listen to me. This is now what happens when God has a specific training for us, folks, to moving forward. In Psalm 81, he's telling us, I need you to understand that there are 3 things that we're going to have to start learning to do. We need to separate ourselves. To get specific instruction on how to handle the particular situations. We need to separate ourselves. So most other people, when we in training, we got to separate ourselves from what we're so used to. We need to draw ourselves closer to what he's telling us we need to do. We need to learn His Word. We need to prepare. If you're going to run a race, a marathon race, what's the first thing you need to learn to do? Condition. Condition requires a discipline. And what do we say about discipline? That if you have no goal, no plan, it is just self-punishment. Our goal and our plan has to be specific. And as we move forward, we're going to start training in these areas so we understand how do we break these patterns. We need to learn how to break a pattern. It doesn't just happen. Right? Whether you want to lose weight, you got to break certain patterns. You got to break certain habits. You got to break, everything has to be breaking down. You want to develop a muscle? Some people, the first day they go work out, they do stuff, they get sore, and they feel the muscles is really hard, right? Yep. Really hard. You feel like, oh, I did it! Right? But you really do anything because your muscle's not even developed yet. It's just hard because, that's the way it happens when it contracts. But you think, wow, looks good. But you try the next time, and the next time, you don't see those muscles that hard anymore. I say, what happened? The more I'm working out, the less I see. Because the muscle, the way it works, they have several tears of muscle that has to be developed. Conditioning is the key to develop. And the first time you work out, what do you get? You get sore, pain. That's a discouragement, isn't it?